This is an Inbound Logistics AI presentation. As part of its long-standing commitment to logistics and supply chain education for both enterprises and students, Inbound Logistics is debuting its new IL Education series. This informative content, voiced by IL AI Audio, helps practitioners better understand key concepts and trending topics in supply chain management and sharpen their knowledge of all things logistics. In this episode, we're talking about virtual warehousing.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're tackling a topic that's been making waves in inbound logistics: virtual warehousing. Ready to demystify what it is and why it matters, especially if you're all about taking your supply chain to the next level.
You bet. We're talking about a complete game changer. Remember those old logistics models? Clunky, inflexible, siloed, you name it.
Oh, tell me about it. A recipe for headaches.
Right. Well, virtual warehousing flips the script entirely. It's about managing inventory across multiple physical locations as if they were the seamless digital entity.
Okay, that sounds impressive, but paint me a picture. What does that actually look like for someone used to, say, a traditional warehouse setup?
Okay, so picture this. You're running an online clothing store and your sales are skyrocketing. Congrats. But there's a catch. You're struggling to fulfill those orders from your one warehouse that's bursting at the seams.
Been there, felt that.
Virtual warehousing swoops in and says, hey now, why limit yourself? Think of it like having this digital twin of all your inventory. You can tap into stock in multiple warehouses or even go directly to the source, the suppliers themselves.
Hold on, so instead of freaking out about space or those cross-country shipments, I could fulfill an order from the location closest to my customer, even if it means it's coming from a different warehouse.
Now you're getting it. It's all about agility and responsiveness.
That's seriously efficient. That's amazing.
And the best part, it's not some far-off futuristic fantasy either. Our friends over at Inbound Logistics have a fantastic article breaking down how businesses of all sizes are using this right now.
I'm sold on the concept, but let's get down to brass tacks. What are the tangible benefits beyond just sounding cool and futuristic?
One word: optimization. Think about all those manual processes that suck up time and resources in a traditional warehouse.
Oh, I know those all too well.
Virtual warehousing, especially when you pair it with the right tech, can automate a good chunk of those tasks. Imagine stock replenishment happening automatically based on real-time sales data.
No more scrambling at the last minute.
Exactly. Fewer errors, lower labor costs, and more time for your team to focus on the bigger picture, the strategy.
That's massive, especially for businesses constantly struggling to keep up with demand. But optimization isn't just about automation, right? There's more to it.
You're right. It's also about using that data to make smarter decisions. With virtual warehousing, you get this incredible, panoramic view of your entire inventory. It doesn't matter where it's physically located.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You plug that data into the right business intelligence tools and unlock a whole new level of insight. Let's say you're launching a new product line. Virtual warehousing can analyze historical data from similar products to actually predict demand.
Wow. So you can avoid those overstock or understock nightmares.
Exactly. You can optimize those launch quantities and even see those potential logistical bottlenecks before they become a real problem.
Now you're talking next-level supply chain mastery. I can definitely see how this would be a game changer for businesses dealing with those super complex supply chains. Like, what about manufacturers who need to coordinate parts from all these different suppliers?
Exactly. Or think about disaster relief organizations, being able to see where those resources are in real time during a crisis.
That's virtual warehousing with a real social impact right there.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about, is putting technology to good use. But let's keep it 100% real. You know, every rose has its thorns. What are some of the challenges businesses might stumble upon when they're trying to implement virtual warehousing?
You're absolutely right. It's not all sunshine and roses. One of the biggest hurdles is making sure that data is secure.
That makes sense. You're dealing with a lot of sensitive information there.
Exactly. Inventory levels, supplier details, even customer data in some cases. This is like gold to hackers.
Yeah, data breaches are a nightmare.
Robust security measures are non-negotiable. You need airtight cybersecurity, strict access controls, and regular data backups. Got to protect yourself from those potential breaches.
That's a really critical point, especially with cyber threats getting more advanced by the day. What are some other potential pitfalls that businesses should be aware of?
Integration is another tricky one. Virtual warehousing often means integrating new software and systems with existing ones, right?
Right.
This can get complicated, especially for businesses that have been using those legacy systems for a while.
So it's not always as easy as just plugging it in and going.
Right. Sometimes it's smooth sailing, but sometimes you need some serious tech expertise to get everything playing nicely together.
So you might need to call in a specialist, someone who really knows their stuff to make sure all the pieces fit.
Exactly. And while virtual warehousing can save you a lot of money in the long run, think about storage costs, for example. There are still those initial setup costs.
Makes sense.
Implementing new software, maybe training staff, possibly even consulting with experts, all of that comes with a price tag.
It's an investment up front with the potential for big returns down the line.
Right.
But those initial costs could be a hurdle for smaller businesses, especially those just starting to explore virtual warehousing.
Absolutely. It's crucial to weigh those upfront costs against the potential long-term benefits. You have to make sure it aligns with your business goals and, of course, your budget.
That's really sound advice. So while virtual warehousing has all this opportunity, it's crucial to go in with your eyes wide open, understanding both the amazing benefits and those potential challenges. Now, for those who are ready to dive in, what are some practical steps they can take to start implementing virtual warehousing successfully?
Well, a solid foundation is key. Do you have a reliable inventory management system already in place? Is your data accurate and up to date? If not, that's where you start.
I love that you mentioned data. It seems like accurate real-time data is mission critical for any successful virtual warehousing operation.
It really is. It's like the fuel that makes the whole thing go. But it's not enough to just have data, right? You need the right tools to make sense of it all.
Right, because a mountain of data doesn't help if you don't know what to do with it.
Exactly. That's where business intelligence comes in. Think of those tools as your, virtual warehousing command center.
Okay, I like that.
They help you visualize those inventory levels, track your key metrics, and what's really cool, identify trends that you might not catch just by staring at spreadsheets.
So it's like having a team of analysts working behind the scenes 24/7 to help you make smarter decisions about your inventory.
You got it. Data-driven decisions. Let's say you see this sudden spike in demand for a certain product, right? Your business intelligence dashboard, it'll show you that trend in real time.
No way. That's incredible.
Right. You can use that info to adjust your inventory levels before it even becomes a problem, maybe even move stock between warehouses. That way, you can meet that demand without missing a beat.
That's amazing. It's like having a crystal ball for your inventory.
Right. You're staying ahead of the game.
Exactly. But even with the best tools and data, things happen. What are some things businesses should keep an eye on to make sure their virtual warehousing is running smoothly? What should they be looking out for?
Such a good question. Even the most sophisticated systems need a little TLC. Resource usage is a big one.
Okay, so like making sure you're not overworking the system.
Exactly. Are you maxing out the capacity of your virtual warehousing platform? Are there bottlenecks slowing things down? Stuff like that.
Got it. So it's about constantly checking in, making sure everything is flowing as it should.
Exactly. And we can't forget about security. Remember all that sensitive data we talked about?
Right, that's always top of mind.
You got to make sure those access controls are still airtight. Are you checking those user permissions regularly? You want to make sure only the right people have access to that critical information.
So proactive monitoring and regular maintenance are key. Are there any other best practices that you would recommend?
You know what often gets overlooked in all of this?
What's that?
The human element.
Oh, interesting. Explain that.
Technology might be the backbone of virtual warehousing, but people are still super important.
Of course.
Your team needs the right training on these new systems, the tools.
Makes sense. They have to know how to use them.
Exactly. They also need to understand the why, the strategy behind it all. How does it all fit into the bigger picture of your business?
It's about empowering your team, giving them the knowledge to really make the most of this technology.
100%. And never be afraid to bring in some experts, There are consultants, service providers, people who eat, sleep, and breathe virtual warehousing. They can guide you every step of the way.
That's a great point. Having the right people on your side, the right partners, can make a world of difference. Now, for those listening who might be feeling a little overwhelmed with all this tech talk, can you give us some real-world examples? How are businesses actually using virtual warehousing to get results?
Absolutely. Let's go back to your online clothing store. Let's say they've got this virtual warehousing system up and running. They're working with a third-party logistics provider, a 3PL.
Okay, so they've got some help.
They've got access to this whole network of warehouses across the country, all managed through their platform.
So instead of being limited to just their one location, they've essentially got a much bigger footprint now, right? They can reach more customers more efficiently.
You got it. They've basically expanded their warehousing capacity overnight, and they didn't even have to build or lease any new buildings. But it's not just about having all that extra space, right? It's about how you use it.
And that's where the real-time data and optimization come in, right?
Right.
I bet that's key here.
Exactly. You're catching on quick. Say they've got a customer in California placing an order, right?
Okay, California customer.
Instead of shipping that order all the way from their warehouse on the East Coast, the system automatically figures out, hey, they've got that product in stock at a 3PL warehouse in Nevada.
Way closer.
Way closer.
That's got to save a ton of money on shipping costs. Not to mention faster delivery times for their customers, which means happier customers all around.
Exactly. And because they can see their inventory levels across all of those locations, in real time, they can prevent those stockouts.
Keep those shelves stocked.
Keep everyone happy. It's like they've gone from playing checkers to chess with their supply chain.
That is a winning strategy for sure. I'm seeing the potential here, even for businesses that aren't in e-commerce. This could apply to so many different industries.
Absolutely. Remember we were talking about car manufacturers earlier? The ones coordinating parts from a million different suppliers?
Oh yeah, that's a logistical nightmare if I ever heard one.
Imagine them using virtual warehousing to track all of those shipments in real time, getting alerts if there's a delay, maybe even rerouting shipments if they have to, just to make sure that the production line keeps moving.
Wow, that's next level stuff right there. Like an air traffic control system, but for your supply chain.
Perfect analogy. And the best part, this technology is becoming more and more accessible every day. It's not just for the big guys anymore, not just for the Fortune 500s.
I love that. So as we wrap things up, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this deep dive on virtual warehousing?
Virtual warehousing isn't just about the technology itself, it's about transformation. It's a whole new way of thinking about how you manage inventory, optimize your supply chain, and at the end of the day, create a better experience for your customers.
That's what it's all about.
In the world of business today, you've got to be agile, you got to be responsive, and that's what virtual warehousing can do for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh.
It's been a pleasure exploring the world of virtual warehousing with you today. And listeners, I hope you feel inspired to explore how this game-changing approach to logistics could transform your business.
That's been my pleasure.
Until next time, keep those supply chains moving.
Join the conversation on this topic by clicking the link in the show notes or visiting inboundlogistics.com.